Hello, everybody. So this is the issue refinement session of the static site editor. And so, Derek, Michael confirmed the flow that that we spoke about, and I saw that you already kind of like did the breakdown of the MR iteration for how we go about the MR title and description. My question is, do we still need further issue refinement on that, or are you happy to say, like this is good enough in terms of an understanding of what we need to do and how we're going to go about it?
I think we're good as is. I just got I see an email. He commented on another issue. I don't know if he has additional comments since yesterday, but as of yesterday, I had a really clear path forward. So it might be an unrelated MR. I just haven't caught up on it yet.
Okay.
If he doesn't have
Yeah,
anything
so
yet, then we're good.
I haven't seen anything new, and
Okay, cool.
if I just recap what Michael decided here is like we can simplify this overall flow by the following pattern: capture changes, submit changes. And so, we spoke about the complexity that trying to do things in parallel would bring in last week's issue refinement. And I think, Michael watched that obviously, and the fact that we don't have to do that is definitely going to be a benefit in terms of just this specific issue. And then the issue that deals with the progress, he also was very open to the idea of using what we currently call the success page as the page where we show progress. And as long as we're keeping the user informed in terms of what steps are being taken, I think actually, let me just link through to that issue quickly. I think he referred to calling it the in progress page. That actually helps a lot. So if we look here, let me just do that. So here's your editor, you do your edits, you fill in your title and your description. It gives you this progress view page, which tells you the merge request is being created with a little progress bar. And then once it's done, you get a success screen with a link to the merge request. So technically, this doesn't actually change our current flow that we have. Apart from, obviously, we're introducing a modal when you click save. And I think he mentioned that, talking about the terminology, the double submit changes previously. He addressed that in a comment as well. So when you click save, it introduces this extra capture step. And then once that's done, is we no longer wait for the promise chain to complete before we transition. We immediately transition to this interim state where we fire off those promises, those three promises: the creating the branch, creating the commit, and creating the merge request. And we use those promise chains to just update the progress of what's going on here. And then once they're done, we transition to this success state.
Yeah, that's it. I think what he did is he updated these images. I think that's what's new, at least for me now.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's a good spot.
Cool. All right. In that case, I'm not going to spend any time on that today. I do want to then move on to this next one, completely decouple the handbook from the marketing site assets. You're more than welcome to stay around for that one, Derek, but I understand if you want to drop off. But this is one that Chad and I have a big interest in, because this is our last big kind of like, it's our second last big decoupling effort we're going to have. The biggest one is going to come later on when we do data, but for now, this is the next big one we need to solve.
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of what I was referring to at the beginning, is I was probably going to stay for the first half of that, and then so I'm going to drop off now, but obviously feel free to ping me. I'll be around, so if you want me to chime in on something, I can jump back on.
Awesome. Well, have a good rest of the day, Derek.
All right, see you guys.
All right. So Chad, I started.
Just duplicate it all. Done?
Done. No, I took the original issue description. You can see both my screens here, right? The issue as well as this type editor here. And so what I did was I started going through all the comments we made on the issue.
Which editor are you saying?
Here, this one here on the right that I'm highlighting text. Can you see it?
No, I'm only seeing the
you only see
browser window.
Let me just share my full screen. I thought I did that. Can you see my full screen now?
Now, yep, now I can.
Okay, cool. So what I'm doing is I'm expanding on this issue description here in this editor, and just by going through all of the comments and stuff and making sure that we capture everything as a unified kind of like proposal in the issue description, so that we don't have all of the pieces dispersed in the comments. So let me just kind of like this is the part that is new, and this part here really describes our philosophy around how we're going to handle the decoupling. So we consciously make the decision to not keep the handbook and marketing site in sync. Now, and in sync referring to design, i.e. the look and feel, as well as navigation, the header and footer navigation options. This, however, is a short-term resolution, as in the long run, we want consistency from a design and navigation point of view. And then once the yes?
You can fit, do you want me to make comments as you go on the individual points?
Yes.
Or finish?
Go,
so
make comments.
The third one that's not really covered in design and navigation is like the functionality, like functionality that's currently shared. You know, job roles or sections or any of the dynamically generated helper stuff that currently appears on both sites. I think that's like the biggest other major area, and like not keeping it in sync for those means it's going to go to one place or the other and either not be in the one or included via an iframe at runtime.
Or duplicated, like for instance, the breadcrumbs.
Right. That's the three
like the breadcrumbs helper. Yeah. So any helper functions like breadcrumbs, etc.
So what's one of the main things that's shared? I can't remember.
Yeah. And then I'm stating here that this is a short-term resolution, as in the long run we want consistency specifically from a design and navigation point of view. And once the marketing site redesign and seamless conversion has been completed, we will consider working towards consistency. To allow for future navigation consistency, the marketing site should consider generating its navigation options either from a data file or a headless CMS data source, so the handbook can reuse that data source. And to allow future design consistency, the marketing site should consider using a UI library similar to GitLab Pajamas.
On the first point, I still don't think that gets to the crux of what I'm saying, that there's like some important things besides design that we're going to have to deal with. I think one of the main ones is like the direction pages. Those are currently rendered in both sites dynamically, and that's going to have to go.
How do you mean they're rendered in both sites?
So they're.
Do you have URLs? Do you have URL examples?
Yeah, everything under direction.
Yeah, but that's in the marketing side. No,
it's in the handbook too. That's it. Look in monorepo YAML, like it had to be added there to be used.
Okay, can you share your screen and show me where it is?
I don't have the web page up. I'm just looking at the monorepo YAML and seeing that we had to add direction as something that is used from both places. I think there's some page, I don't know the exact URL of it, in the handbook that renders dynamic information related to the direction.
I would imagine that it could be the product section. Let's see.
Yeah, it'd be easy to see. But point being, it could be that, it could be product direction. I don't think compensation calculators were used, but that may be the main one, but there's.
So I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Let me just share it again. So I'm having a look here at the product one, and I see they link off to the direction page. Okay, what I do understand is content is another one, i.e. But now
Yeah.
I want to understand where I need to see where this is being.
Like
exactly
engineering development ops release under the handbook. That's one place.
Development ops release.
And there's more. Progressive delivery, JTBD. That's one of them. And it's several other places. Like if you just search for direction, if you just search for direction, like under the handbook site, you'll see it. Handbook acquisitions, I think, is one. Let's try that. My browser's frozen.
So what is actually shared? Is it are there actual templates that are shared between the two sites?
Yes, you can see looks like it's a SDLC partial in here is what's shared. If you were to look for that class.
Let me ribbing on quickly.
Yeah, if you just look for the SDLC partial in the source of the page, you will see where that is. That it looks like it's that the little chart under acquisition target profile. What is that under acquisition approach? Yep, that thing. I could show you where it is on the page.
Okay, show your screen quickly.
Acquisition approach. Let's see. Share screen. Where's the share screen button? There it is. All right, you're seeing desktop.
Yeah, I can see it.
You're seeing the browser?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so like real quickly, all I did is like just search for direction everywhere under the site's handbook, and you can see all these places where the direction partial is used.
Yes.
Multiple pages. This first one that I found, I just searched for that partial, and it's this thing here. This is dynamically generated from direction, and the way I knew that, it may be the only one. I have a feeling like there's other helpers that that may be there, but I just saw that under the monorepo YAML, that's one of the shared files that it needs.
So this is where I would say that
and
that
the
direction
highlight tooltip, all of these other things that are in here and in the comment includes are also potentially shared.
Yeah.
So
highlight tooltip, that's something that we'd have to duplicate, and that's a piece of functionality that if they want it in the marketing site, they need to duplicate and maintain for now, and
sure,
we need to create we can create an external package for it over time.
But the point is,
specifically
like,
to the
as part of the
direction one.
split up, it has to be deleted
Yeah.
from one place or the other and moved into one of the sites.
Yes.
Which means that whoever was expecting to see it on that page when it was originally put there, as well as all the others that it's included on, it's just going to get deleted out of the handbook or the marketing site, whichever it goes to.
So, come on. Still trying to get used to this thingy. So I think
Do I show
actually
your
what we
screen
need
again with the doc?
Yes. Let me do that. So I think under proposed solution, we need to have principles, and we need to have execution. So under the principles, I would say yeah, so that the execution is to decouple the shared, to decouple the sites from shared files. One of the following methods need to be used to decouple the site from all instances of shared files. It needs to do one, move to the relevant site if it belongs to one of them. Two, duplicate.
Done, John, as part of the.
Sorry.
I think that has mostly been done as part of the current monorepo work. I don't think there's anything much left that is not actually shared.
Okay. Maybe
without splitting it out further. Maybe some of the includes and stuff.
Yeah, and maybe there's something that actually doesn't need to be in one of them anymore. You know, maybe that, it's legacy or so on. So I'll leave it there just as one of the options that can be used. So duplicate the shared files and maintain going forward based on principles above, and the third one is to
like render from the other side at runtime via an iframe or something.
Yes. Include rendered state from other sites at runtime by an iframe.
Yep.
So, yeah. Okay. Or
I would say published or rendered kind of. I would say published instead of rendered. Like it kind of implies it's still at build time if you say rendered.
Yeah. So what the other part is, say for instance that direction partial, is it is probably being rendered from a data source. So we could choose to duplicate the partial that renders it.
Mm-hmm. Partials. There's a whole set of them, I think.
Yeah. See that. Yeah. So that's the problem is when it becomes like a complex feature like the direction stuff.
And in this case, it's like there's a lot of stuff, and it's like directly coupled to the structure of the company. Like it's something that change all the time, and is really important to keep in sync. That you really wouldn't want to duplicate. Like it should live in one place or the other, or it's guaranteed to get out of sync, and the sort of thing people are going to care if it's out of sync. Can't have one site misrepresenting the structure of the company or the direction of the company. I think that's the main one, though. I don't know that there's any others that are at least that severe.
And to be honest, the direction section is it's one of those that is, I mean, it looks like handbook pages, you know, and you can probably make an argument that it is handbook, and it is because, you know, it's strategy, you know, but you could also make a case for that it's not. So it's one of those weird ones. What I actually want to, you know, so another one, for instance, is job families. You know, that for me feels like it's something that should be in our handbook. You know, it's part, job families are part of how we kind of like run our business. You know, that should be part of the handbook. And I'm actually going to create an issue to, let's actually do this while I'm at this. I want to create an issue that resolves these gray areas, and makes a call on is direction part of the handbook or the marketing side, and because we just need a definitive call on that. That's my point of view on this. So handbook content disambiguation. Oh, that's the right word. I can't even remember if that's. I constantly have to define. Remove uncertainty. Yes. Okay, and we're just going to leave that open as an issue. We don't have to do it right now, but I want to start that conversation, and it's mainly around job families and product direction. So that's everything in job families and direction. Okay.
If we're wanting to be thorough about that, it should really be to look at everything that is in the shared files section for the handbook in the monorepo YAML.
Let's look at that quickly. So we've got direction.
Yeah, and
we've got
some of these may not actually be used like salary calculator. It's mostly the includes where the logic lives, and layouts, job families too.
But see that, yeah, so the salary calculator is definitely used in the handbook. I mean, this is handbook, but is it used on the marketing side?
No, I don't think it is. But for example,
you know where
layout definitely.
The job families use the set. Yes, no, but the salary calculator is actually used on the job families, because I know it's at the bottom of the job family. So if job families move into the handbook, that actually solves that issue.
Well, no, because the job family layout is used from many places in the marketing page, and the layout is going to use some of the logic in the job families and or the salary calculator.
Why are they using the job family layout? That makes no sense.
I don't know. If you look under sites marketing, there's like at least how many?
Holy crap!
A bunch of them.
Look at all these. Yeah, they all use it. But they're all under the job families page.
100 plus matches and 91 plus files.
Yeah, but they're all job families. I'm looking at the path here. They're all job families. Oh, wait. Source job families, yes. Job families. So that layout is actually only being used for job families. Now my question is, where is it actually being used in the handbook? Oh, here. It's actually also being used in the jobs section. But also, since that is an area that we're not actively using anymore. Yeah, we're not actually using that anymore. So we can, because we don't have those job pages open.
Anyway, that's one of many to solve. I think that's the algorithm we have to do. Like everything in that shared files list, probably both of them, we need to go through and say, where does this live logic wise? And it's not just design, it's functionality and content.
That's actually, let me just copy this path, because this makes sense actually to reference. Okay, so principles. We consciously make the decision to not keep the handbook and marketing site in sync. In sync, we are consciously making The decision to not keep the handbook and marketing site in sync in short. So areas that this areas that this apply to are design, navigation, function, content.
So for 4, you can put i.e. many. See shared files in monorepo, for example, job families, direction, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This however is a short-term resolution, blah, blah, blah.
Do you want to call out job families and directions as like the 2 that we specifically looked at?
Especially job families and direction. Oops. All right. Execution. To decouple the site from all instances of shared files, one of the following methods is to remove the relevant site. Deeply the current node. I want to revisit that, but that's we have solved now. Just want to go down here quickly. So I checked that we already included that. Good call out, I think. Yeah, so I want to include this. Further info, not related. Further information. Okay, I'm gonna start here. I want to mention that. What am I doing wrong here? Screw it. Just need to go into source mode quickly. How do I switch to source mode again? Yeah, source code mode.
You want to copy the source of that list that you just pasted instead?
It's fine.
Okay. Oh, it looks like it got it anyway.
Data.
Never mind.
Yeah, further information. Ensure to run through all interests in the.
What editor is this? Is this VS Code?
So this is it's called Typora.
Okay.
It's one that I've it's just a markdown editor. I don't have, like, sometimes I just want to like raw edit a file, but I don't always want to write in markdown. I sometimes want to be Wizardbig mode, but I want the markdown source. And so I'm trying it. I'm not sold on it yet, but giving it a go anyway. So ensure to run through all entries in the data monorepo file and execute each of them based on the execution and above.
Yeah,
okay.
monorepo file, shared file section. Sections specifically.
Okay, /bin. File should follow the site it relates. Let's actually just open that while we're here to see if my very rough thing. Okay, so bin. File should follow the site it relates to. I'm also not sure whether we really need the bin stubs. So a lot of these things.
Bin stubs are related to Ruby gems. They're just from bundler.
Yeah, but you don't need them in your repo.
You do. They allow you to run things without typing bundle exec. That's their purpose.
Yeah, but I mean that's like nice to have.
No, it's gonna be a Ruby repo. there's going to be a bundler at the top of it. Unless we
Yes.
move everything down to the sites and make those the roots and there's nothing at the top. So if
Yes.
there's a gem
So
file at the root, it makes sense to have bin stubs at the root. Those are
no,
not a big deal. They're just part of Ruby gems.
yes, but okay. So the principle here that I think is the file should follow the site. Like I don't think we should have anything in the top level of the repository that relates to like ultimately what I really want to see is like if this is the top of our repo, I want to see data and I want to see sites and potentially GitLab CI.yaml, like this is kind of like utopia, like that's all there is. And then each site, whether it's marketing or handbook, will have its own stuff, bin or blah. Like I don't like
That makes sense, but that's duplicating the gem file in Ruby and the package JSON and all of that, which is something we should do, but that's a whole effort in itself to make each site an independent Ruby.
like so that is definitely the my intention. It should be in the each site in the sites folder should be an independent app, whether it's a Ruby app, a JavaScript app, or a Go app, or whatever app. It should be an independent app.
Okay, I know how to resolve that we're talking past each other. You need another entry here, which is everything in the root. And like that implies some other things that are in these folders, such as bin stubs. So like everything in the root includes the package JSON and the gem file, the Ruby and the Node ecosystem. Those both imply stuff under bin and lib and other places.
Yeah. So essentially,
Like
it's these.
I'm saying that's yeah, exactly, everything in the root. Except for data and sites, like you said.
Yes. So data, yeah. So, oh gosh.
Because there's other stuff. There's scripts. And like scripts and bin are sort of vague. They get some things are in one or the other.
But I think like the principle applies. It needs to so whatever is needed for bin goes to each site should have its own bin if it's needed. I can't see us needing shared bin. I mean, if
we don't.
Here.
I'm saying that like before bin, like files directly in the root. Like for example, gem file and package JSON, the Node and Ruby ecosystem.
Yes. Okay. You're talking about these that I'm highlighting here.
Yes. And the bin stubs are, for example, they live under bin, but they're really just a generated useful artifact of the gem file and the bundler tool. Like other files, non-directories directly in the root of the repo. Such as the Ruby and Node ecosystems.
Yeah, let me copy file
the
names.
linters.
Yeah, I want to copy all of these file names. Copy. Let's just copy and see what happens. Yeah, it gives me what I want. We'll get back to that. Ensure to run through all of So okay, so for bin, we're in agreement. This moves to the site that's needed. There's also these things that aren't being used anymore that we can.
Can we delete the blurb about the bin stubs now? I think it's covered just by the existence of, gem file in the other list. Not the whole thing. I think just the first sentence was about bin steps.
Yeah. Essentially, we really need bin steps. Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Data. So this will remain shared between the two sites for the time being, and we should configure the sites as data path to use some links for now. Okay. We are definitely not going to duplicate this at this stage, or even move data files to the correct site. I think this, for now, I'm happy for it to be at the top level root, and if there's this is the last thing I want to touch.
Yeah, I think long term we're gonna have to do something like this is wrapped in some sort of API facade and lives
It's
somewhere else.
long term, it's going to be in a private repo.
Right.
That's it has to for various reasons. The other thing is, like so for instance, I'm referring to that issue that Carl opened about the stages and categories YAML file, that they use for the labeling of issues and so on. There's so many services outside of the handbook and the marketing side that use these data files. I mean, they're pretty much the lifeblood of many services in the company that keeps things going, and having them actually in the repo here makes them feel in a way like it doesn't bring that seriousness in terms of the fact that changes to these can actually break things that systems that we build.
You want me to throw
I
another
know that.
wrench in your plan here?
No, I know all of those things that you've mentioned before. I don't want to think about this even now.
One that came up yesterday when I was helping Ken Johnson was like his problem was he was trying to use just the data dot object directly. The one middleman exposes directly from
Yeah.
the existence of a YAML file under data. But what he really needed to use to emulate the page he was trying to copy was to use these class wrappers we have, which correspond to them. There's like a group class, which is really
Yes.
a smart wrapper that consolidates a lot of the data files. There's category and there's others. So that stuff lives under lib, I think mostly under lib, but maybe these other directories, is very tightly coupled to the structure of the data, at least the existence of the data files. So those really aren't going to move to one side or the other if the data doesn't, because they're directly tied to the data and its structure.
But this makes it makes me think, long term, this data repo that we have should probably have the raw data files, but then an API that expose. So if you want to interact,
that's what I said.
Files,
an API facade around it, which would include all of that logic in it, and it would just expose, JSON interfaces, GraphQL, some standard API, and then which marketing, if they want to go the route, and the other, non-handbook groups in the company, if they want to go the same route of using different tools than middleman or frontman, they're going to have to do that. Like if they're going to use
I just think it solves a lot of those challenges we spoke about. About the data structures changing and so on. You could abstract that through the API facade over the data.
And it follows the same philosophy that Sid lays out for GitLab, the product, because there they say things aren't allowed to be in a separate repo unless they're completely decoupled from the product and they expose a very clean API, and there's a really good reason for that. And it's the same philosophy. Like if this is going to split up, we need to have a solid API around what's still shared. Otherwise, it's just you can't maintain it from a versioning and deployment standpoint.
And it allows us to bring in the concept of private data much better as well. Like because essentially what we'll be doing is we'll be having a data service that runs and that's available, and various services will use this data service.
Right, and then you wrap the authorization authentication in that.
Exactly. All right. I do need to make a note of that somewhere. I'm actually, I've started this epic. I just need to keep track of all of these things I still need to write. Oh. Okay. Data, we talked about extensions. So files should follow the site it relates to. As part of the migration to Frontman, we won't have any extensions in the handbook. So essentially all.
I think that's the only
remaining...
straightforward one. Just convert them all to helpers.
No, well, all the remaining extensions will move to marketing site until they choose to convert it.
Yep.
Generators. Let's just have a look at generators. What are these? So that's the direction page, just the org chart. So they follow the site. Yeah, that's fine. Helpers. Again, they should follow the site they relate to, and when needed by both, we'll duplicate
so
or
look at the generators. One of them is direction, like that's tied to direction. So that's one of the things that we're going to have to decide where it lives, right? Like we called it out as one of the ones above.
Yeah. Just checking now.
I guess what I'm saying
this is the one that reads from the GitLab API to bring data to those direction pages.
I think it just needs the same caveat as the helpers below. When needed by both, we'll duplicate it or look to include it.
Yeah.
Rendered via iframe. It's the same thing.
Okay. Lib. So this is an interesting one for me. So these are essentially.
Before we go on to this,
yeah.
under bin, can you just say bin/scripts? I think those are. No, like
okay.
bin or script. Like
Yeah.
they're things could be in one or the other. Yeah. Like that.
Yeah. So we're gonna make this /that. Okay, so lib, as far as I can see, these are plain, like Ruby classes that are, used for utility. This one is
and
from
some of them, like we
BAM.
said, are tightly coupled to the data and the structure of the data.
Yes.
So if the data
Yes.
doesn't move down.
But because they're libs, like I actually think that lib might be one of those that we keep at the top level then, because they're not related to any site. Their logic, the logic of the lib code isn't necessarily dedicated to a site as far as I can see, and it doesn't have to move with a site. Like I almost feel like lib can stay at the top. And because you're importing these, and I'm sure you could specify a middleman where you're importing this from.
Well, okay. If you search for example, an open angle bracket under lib, you're gonna find where it generates some HTML in some of those places, which by definition means it's coupled to the layout and display in some places. And if we're saying that the generators and helpers are going to one side or another, these support them, as well as the include templates.
So like, here's change log.
Stuff in here is coupled to everything else in various ways.
I almost feel like we should follow it moves with the site as well, because so for instance, here's changelog. The marketing
That's
site
what I'm
doesn't
saying.
need
This
a
is,
changelog.
it's like whatever it's used by is the same decision will be made for the corresponding thing under lib.
File should
And
follow
in
the
the
site
case of data, that may mean it stays at the top if it's tightly coupled to the data.
All right. Files in the repo root, so non-directories. Do we even use code climate? I'm sure we don't.
I don't think so.
This was in 2018. I'm almost feeling like
somebody
creating
probably turned it on and then disabled it.
I almost feel like opening an MR to just cull some of these files right now. Shall we do it?
I mean, it's just,
Why not?
it's one of everything. I don't think it's more important than anything else. It all needs to be cleaned up.
I mean, if we're going to go through each of these files and we find ones that can just go, let's just let them go. We've got 13 minutes, and that's enough time for a quick cowboy MR. Okay, so code climate. Let's just do a search in the project, see if there's anything code climate related. Ooh, okay, no, that's just the preferred company.
You know, one other big one you don't have in this list? Doc.
Yes. Docs.
Doc.
But
in here.
yeah, but again, I would say that follows, but it needs to be done. Yes, you're right.
Yes. It should follow wherever.
But there's also isn't there stuff that's also repo? There's docs that relate to the actual monorepo.
There's one about the monorepo. There's some that are specific to Handbook, some that are specific to marketing, and some are pretty general, like how middleman works or how you run the dev. But I think most of them should be specific to one or another. Legal, blog, product.
Yeah. Okay.
Contributor license agreements. I don't know if those get duplicated or not.
What is this? GitLab team. Oh, okay, this is just a release post. Code climate. Okay, this is demo. What's the okay, this just talks about how code climate is in the product. So we don't actually use code climate in this repo, so this is going to go. Let's see. Okay, seems fine. Then here's lint ignore. Do we even use this? Jeez. Yeah, it seems we do.
Yeah, we use ESLint.
Okay,
I think most of the other stuff here is probably used.
Okay, but files and I'm just actually going to have. I'm not going to name them all by name here. Like files in the repo root non-directories. They follow the file should follow the site relates to.
Yeah, and I think it's like you can say linting, node system, node ecosystem, Ruby ecosystem. Those are the three main categories of things in here.
Yeah. Just checking. GitLab, that's important. Okay, yeah. Relative links ignore. What is this? is an empty file. Do you have any idea what this is?
No.
What's the history of this file? This must be back way far if it's taking this long to load Easter. Is it 2018 source atom? No, this is source handbook marking blog. Avoid false positives for non-relative links. I mean, do we even have this stuff? So this doesn't make sense, and it's
Yeah, I don't think it's used.
No, it's
see
definitely not
references
used
anywhere
anymore.
else.
No, okay, so this one's going as well.
And remember, you can't just delete them. You have to delete them out of the file as well.
Yes. Say again.
The files called files has to exactly match
Yes.
the list.
Where's this one? So we're taking out code climate, taking out reference. Remark RC. What on earth is this? Oh, this is the one. This is the formatting tool that Enrique's used to pre-format pages. So I'll leave that one for now. RSpec 2017. Do we use this?
Yes, this is the configuration for RSpec itself when the unit tests are run.
Rubocop.
Definitely.
All right. Ruby version
Configuration for Rubocop.
Saslint.
I think we run this.
Yeah. YAML
The linters. That's the one we just added recently.
Add member to team page.
This I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, no, this needs to go. Delete. Babel config. Yeah. Yeah, I just remembered that. Babel config, yes. Comparison PDF.sh. What is that? Generate PDF for file name. Do we have PDF generation of pages anymore?
We do. I don't know that this is related to it.
Comparison PDFs. Wow. We'll just let me search for this. Comparison.
It's not used anywhere. Wait, no, PDF.md.
Here we
After
go.
running that, you can run the
it's
following
in
to
doc.
generate the PDFs. Right. Maybe somebody still does this. I don't know.
I mean, it's not actually being used in any linting jobs or anything like that.
Right, but the documentation for this explains that you run it manually. The comparison pages and PDFs for all other pages. This may have been subsequently automated. I think it was, but I'm not 100% sure.
And this is also heavily out of date. Because there's still, yeah.
Yeah, there's stuff about PDF generation in the middleman and CI that's been automated. So maybe this is all old, but I can't be sure.
I'm gonna take a stab at saying this is old. Wait, where was that?
Well, then you should delete the doc file along with it. It refers to it.
Yeah. I've got it selected. PFMD has one usage. PDF files. Well, we don't need that. How to work with PDF files. That doesn't make sense to me. Maybe this was an old process they had.
In order to make a I mean, that PDF doc had information about creating them as well and adding the layouts and stuff. I don't know that it's not needed for people that want to create PDFs. I wouldn't say that that is the doc should be
Who's
deleted.
creating PDFs? Okay, but no, we're not deleting it. Let's just have a look here.
General PDF pages.
Terms, print, GitLab subscription terms.
Yeah, and the pan
Let's see
doc
if-
and the other stuff, this refers to some things that we still use. I'd say some of this doc needs to go, but not all of it.
This doesn't exist anymore. What was this? Terms, print. You know what? This can move into the marketing site as part of the follows the site, because it definitely doesn't relate to the handbook, but it could relate to marketing. So I'm gonna unrelate it. And we'll leave it for now.
So,
And
are you gonna leave the shell script?
yeah, I'm leaving that shell script for now.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, because if we're leaving the doc, we're leaving the shell script. Okay, config.rb. Oh, surely we don't need that. Config.ru. What is the difference between config.rb and config.ru? RB is for Ruby.
Config.rb is what it says in it. This is the middleman config, which
Okay.
does nothing at the top level now other than tell you not to run it.
This config.ru?
That's the rack up
Okay.
file. Yeah, something related to how middleman runs rack. I don't know why it's needed. Maybe it's a standard middleman thing.
Contributing. Let's leave that for now. Files. Let's just make sure I didn't click
When is config assets.rb?
Where do you
that.
see it? Extend destination path. You wrote this.
Oh yeah, this is yep, this is the configuration file for the assets which are still built by middleman at the top level. So this is a middleman config.
Gem file, blah blah blah. License, yeah. Geez, we should probably update this. Windy page, what is this? No,
I don't think that's
definitely
needed.
not. Windy page can go. Yeah, we need package.json. PDF template.txt. What on earth is this?
This I bet is related to the PDF generation shell script. It's
Yeah, it must be.
LaTeX template for PDF something.
PDF is the template. Yeah, there's a rake file that's referencing it and the markdown. Yeah, it's related to that. See, here's the rake file for.
Yeah, so this all needs to be gone through and split up to the various sites that need it.
All right. README, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. We can't delete anything more from the top level there. What's in temp? Yeah, no, that's fine. I have a question for you. Why? What is this experiments thing?
I think those are no longer used. They were A/B tests.
Okay.
that I
Because I
think
see
Brandon Lyon did.
646. Yeah.
I think
And
they
that
told
was-
me they
there was
weren't
an
used, but they're referred to from the mono repo YAML, so like they need to have like be looked at carefully before they're deleted. And also if they have corresponding stuff on
Yeah.
Launch, what is it? Launch Darkly? I think is the tool they were
Oh yes,
using.
that's their. Okay. All right. That's it for now then. Okay. I'm gonna update that issue description. We're at time. And
Are we any further
make
along than
sure-
we were?
Well, we've consolidated all of the conversation, and we've got principles, we've got execution plan, we've got further. So essentially, this is the plan, and like you mentioned, something to refer back to when somebody asks, what happened here? You know, like this is it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Lauren, Brandon, and Michael, their manager, to review this again and make sure they're happy with it as our approach going forward.
So this should go in. This is already an epic. It's an issue.
No, it's an issue.
Yeah, it should probably get promoted to an epic.
Okay.
If only to stick around to refer to and stay open, because it's gonna be a while before we're done with all of this.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay, Chad. Thanks for joining me. I'm
I'm gonna stop the recording and then you have another minute to chat.
Yeah.